Hello and welcome to Module 3, Section O of the Better with Less course. Today we're working on the living room or the family room. And with this lesson, we're going to once again identify the purpose of this space, ask a few guiding questions to help us understand what we want this space to be and what we want to use it for. And I'll also be helping walk you through the process of, or the balance of functionality and design and how we can make sure both of these are optimal in this central hangout spot of our home. Let's jump right in. All right, let's declutter the living room. To begin, let's start with a few questions that can help guide our thinking and our actions through this process. First up, what is the purpose of this space? I know this is not a new question, but we always need to be intentional about it. Also, how do you currently spend your time in this space? What does it look like? Be realistic. Are you looking to change the way you spend time in this space? Maybe how you're currently spending your time in this space is not the ideal or goal that you'd have, and you'd like to better balance that. And with these three questions, we can use them to help adjust and guide our thinking about the space and use this as the building blocks to be able to understand what changes make sense for us to make. So when we're looking at our living room or family room, a couple key principles to balance are both functionality and decor or design. Of course, these principles could be emphasized in any room of the house, but compared to the last three rooms that we were discussing, which have a very clear specific purpose, in a bedroom you sleep, in a bathroom, you're getting yourself ready for the day, going to the bathroom, showering, etc. Kitchen, you're making meals. It's pretty clear. A living room or family room, that's pretty flexible. So this is where we're going to get into those differences of the functionality and then decor and design and how we can take action to balance these. And with this in mind, it's also very possible in your space that you're going to have hobby clutter or entertainment items here, but we're not going to worry about those in this lesson. So for instance, if you have a large bookshelf in your living room or a media center that has movies or video games or anything like that, we're not going to worry about the contents of that yet. We're more so looking at bigger pictorial structural elements and also decor and that sort of thing. So save those thoughts about some of your media or hobby items that might be in this room for a future lesson. It's coming very soon, but let's focus on the bigger picture. First up, let's take some action in regards to functionality. I want you to take a look around your living room and look for the structural elements. First of all, how is everything organized in the room? Does this organization make sense for how you currently use the space? So really look at the furniture you have, the larger items, and how they're arranged. How well are each of these pieces in the room working or adding value to the room? Do the items or furniture in this room promote interaction with friends and family, or whatever your goals are for the space? Let's go back to the concept of a purpose-driven space. Does your setup do that? Could the space be improved if you moved some things around or opened up space? This is one where we might get kind of stuck in our ways and think, well, it's always been like this. But did we actually truly experiment with placement? I know in my own decluttering journey, there have been countless times where I thought I was happy with the way it was laid out or the overall aesthetic and feel, but then I made some simple swaps, moved some things around, changed a few things up, and I was amazed what a difference it made. Something as simple as changing the angle of the couch, switching out a light fixture, moving the desk 90 degrees. Simple things like this can actually make a huge difference. So if you haven't actually tried moving things around, why not give it a go? You just might find a new arrangement or configuration that you like a lot better. This is also a great chance to take a look at any storage crutches you might have. And a storage crutch is essentially a piece of furniture that only has a purpose of storing items. With this, I would encourage you to reflect about this now it's likely that if it is a storage crutch, it's completely full of stuff, and we want to examine if this is worthwhile. If you think it's something that is a storage crutch that you don't want to have long term, keep that in the back of your mind, because as we work through other modules of the course, we're going to be able to start tackling that. And especially if it's a larger piece of furniture, it may take more time. I know in my decluttering journey, we had a large armoire or wardrobe sort of thing. We personally were using it in our living room as well. And it was huge and could fit tons of stuff. But over time through our decluttering, we gradually worked through one drawer at a time until we got to the point where we no longer needed the whole piece of furniture and we were able to let that go. So definitely take note of these storage crutches. Don't worry about it right now, but having that in the back of your mind will be helpful when we get to future lessons such as the storage lesson. Now let's shift our attention to decor and design. This is where we're going to look at the design elements of the room. I will be upfront, I do not have amazing skills with decor or no interior design skill. So that's not what I'm talking about here. I want you to reflect about your own personal style, and we're going to see if your style is aligned to the feeling of this room. So does the decor in this room bring you joy and enrich your life? Maybe you have some art pieces, maybe you have a few pieces of decor that sit out on a surface or on a coffee table. Take a look at those items. Does your decor match your personal tastes and what you want this room to look and feel like? Is it aligned with that? Or is it more so items you've just had or just accumulated over time? Maybe it's items more from your past self. Here's a good one. Do you still notice the decor you have, or has some of it faded into the background? When you walk into that room, are you blind to those pieces of decor, or do they still stand out to you? This has happened with me sometimes where you leave something out, let's say on a surface, and eventually you don't even realize that it's there anymore because you're not looking at it, it's not bringing you value. And if you are essentially blind to this clutter, could it be worthwhile to remove it? Another question, is every piece of decor meaningful and intentional? Or is some of it just for show or just because you have it? Just because you might have received something as a gift doesn't mean it has to make a permanent appearance in your space and be out at all times or even out at all. It's also important for us to understand that less can be more in this situation. And if you have a large volume of decor, does the volume of it diminish the individual impact that each piece can have? For instance, if you have a wall that has 20 different pieces of art on it or photographs, are you able to actually get value out of each of those 20? Or would you be able to give each piece more attention if you reduced it to your favorite selection of them, the best of the best? Of course, this is all personal taste, but it's important for us to not look past what's right in front of us and maybe what's been in front of us this whole time, but maybe not aligned to what we actually want for the space. Just because you've had it a certain way doesn't mean it has to stay that way forever. And you know what? If you love your space, then no worries. You don't have to make any adjustments. We want to lead with intention. After you've reflected about these questions, go ahead and remove or declutter any of the decor or design elements that are currently not adding value to your life. And especially if some of these are sentimental items, we'll get into that in a future lesson to help you work through how we choose to remember some of these items too. So keep that in mind. To help you with this lesson, feel free to check out your homework assignment. You are making so much great progress so far. We're already over halfway through materials, which is awesome. Keep it up, and I'll see you in the next lesson.